Welcome to Inspiration Radio, Growth Principles for Humanity and Progress. Join us when we share information, wisdom, and ideas how to create an extraordinary future for us all. The future is open. We together decide what will be in it.
Super.
Welcome to another episode of Winspiration Radio, Growth Principles for Humanity and Progress. So we believe that the best is yet to come, even in times when we say, oh, God, here's a war, there's action, climate catastrophes, and whatever. And I'm so happy once again to have a talk with Anabel Ternès. We talked about sustainability and a lot of interesting topics, education. And after our last talk, the world experienced another difficult situation, Israel, Gaza, and so on. And we see in Europe political changes in supporting Ukraine and thing. We are from Germany, both. I'm at the moment in South Africa, and she is traveling a lot. And we see Germany has a lot of difficulties, financial-wise and so on, education-wise. So when the world is, let's say, in the kind of somehow, at least when I believe the news, in more mess, so what is really happening, and what we can do to make it true that the best is coming? Yeah, what is your take on it?
I didn't get it.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
No, it says so. There's so much more turbulences, and I see. I just had here also an interview with someone from South Africa who is doing frequency therapies, and says even here, people are experiencing in their bodies more fear. And I get also a lot of information that people really feel threatened, insecure where it's going, anxiety a lot. And we both believe the best is yet to come. So even if the world outside looks more turbulent, so what is your take on it? What's just going on? And what we could do, or what can help us to make life better, that the best is really coming.
Thank you, Wolfgang. I think each times have each challenges, and we're currently thinking that these times of polycrisis is more than some can face. But I think there have happened always challenges, and it is interesting because in the past the challenges were mostly not made by human. The challenges we are facing currently are made by us, and this is interesting because we have it in our hand to change it for the better. But most of the people who are feeling this fear don't seeing that. They feel small, they feel frustrated because they have the feeling that they can't change anything. And it is mostly because of their idea of the world and their idea of themselves. It has nothing to do with the word itself. And I think this is the effect of that, what this development with digitization made with us. It hasn't brought us closer to ourselves. Maybe it brought people from far closer to us. I mean, that we are talking now with maybe less than a second difference from talking and listening or hearing that what I'm saying. This is wonderful. But on the other hand, it's virtual, and it is a kind of fake. It is a good fake. It's a
Mhm.
pleasant fake, but
Yeah.
it is a kind of, and we will see that, Wolfgang. I mean, we haven't seen in person so far, and I'm sure that we are very deep, and it would be wonderful seeing you in person. But virtuality can't face that and can't applicate that. And this is the interesting thing. We have never been in a situation where we can change so much for the better and for the worse, but where most of the people don't seeing that. And what is interesting is that this limited view on things is not something neutral. It is a negative power. It is a toxic power, and it's not just working against the people themselves. So, which could explain why we have an immense increase of psychosomatic illnesses or illnesses in total. But it's also a power which some more often or very often directed against other people. And this is also, I think, explaining why we haven't learned from the past so far with wars and have so many conflicts, which are the result of a question of power, which are the result of a question of egos, and egos which are unsatisfied is a question of somebody who is not balanced in himself. If somebody is balanced in himself, he knows that the most important thing is the self-leadership and not the idea to press people, to push people, to be aggressive against people. This is all a kind of substitute, and it's not a kind of excuse for anything, but it explains a little bit. And when we are talking about education, then we should talk more about life education. And we should ask us also, why isn't it possible to bring this into schools, into normal schools worldwide, this life education, that you learn something about yourself, that you learn how to deal with yourself, with your own aggressions, with your own feelings of being not good enough, of your own feelings of dealing with this with these gaps inside you, and always on a run, always in judging, always in comparing. This is something which is so toxic, and I think it's interesting that currently you see this very well, how these things which are going on in ourselves are mirrored outside and vice versa. And I wouldn't say that it's more. I would say that it changed. The people are more aware of that, but not in a case of know where the key is to turn around.
They are more aware of that they see it's not so nice anymore.
They know that they don't want
what is really happening, and especially also inside, like Sadhguru says, okay, everybody knows and read the user manual for TV, iPhone, or whatever, but not for themselves. So this trained look outside, and the training of where it always comes. If it's God, it's a boss, it's a government, it's his partner, the solutions are coming from the outside and not really trained. Is this simply a misunderstanding in the past that we didn't train the kids right? Or when you say also the inner problems people have, and then, okay, you see the results, like whatever psychopaths is in the government, that the country will suffer, I guess. Or is this just also a lack of love what we give to kids today, the way we I see it in the restaurant. I don't have kids, but I see it in the restaurants or school. Who is really interested to be with the kid? Yeah, it's just, here's a video game and whatever. Be quiet, don't disturb.
Yeah, I was also a bit shocked when I had my kid at a doctor I know for ages, and she's also, besides that she's a doctor, she's a children's and youth psychotherapist now working in this field. But as I had my kid with me, and I said, okay, we need to find now a place where he can sit down and do a puzzle or write something or draw something for an hour where we work together. She said, oh, why don't you give him your smartphone? I said, should I? She said, it's easier. I
Yes.
said, yeah,
Yeah.
but is it about easy or is it about doing something which fits for his age and is good? And then she said, I have a great idea. There's something I would like to show him in online. And I said, okay. And she showed him this in her phone.
Mhm.
And then she said, oh, unbelievable. He's so quiet. I said, of course he's quiet. He's just taking drugs currently. And
Yeah.
she said, what do you mean? Um, yeah, she said, I mean, he's quiet. Yes, I said, he is quiet. Right. But this is not what I like, the way he's quiet. He's not busy with in interaction. He's busy with just consuming. And he's diving into another word, which is okay. But kids need more this interactive thing. It's not good if they're too much in this other world. And the idea that you are happy that he's quiet, this is not really making me happy.
Yeah, yeah, and it doesn't make uh, people not happy if they're not having enough social context. And today we know the blue zones or whatever, what makes longevity really, it's not the olive oil or whatever, the red wine or the drinks or the garlic. It is really social connections. And that is the more thing
Yeah.
what we really, really need. When you talk now that also the lack of connections and not all online, do you see that after COVID, and we talk also about kids out there, that it's yeah, a lot worse because kids needed to stay at home or wear a mask, and or is it just anyway just a development how society is focused on money and not on love, and we know that you can a lot of experiments in universities or books. It just takes maybe 2 weeks to create for any human a monster. Yeah, if you just stress them right. So,
Mm.
what makes it that it's worse today?
I think it's a mixture. I think that parents or that people in general are a bit overloaded with that what they face,
Mm-hmm.
and um, the word got bigger, the fears got bigger,
Mm-hmm.
um, the insecurities got bigger. I mean, I think I often compare it with a cake, and if you have a small cake, it feels like you have a lot of this cake. If it's getting bigger, your slides you're owning
Mm-hmm.
feel much smaller. And uh, I wanted to share a small story with you, which might illustrate that what I mean with that. During my studies, I had two colleagues of my school which were studying with me, and I was studying in two cities. They were just studying in one city. One of these cities where we're studying together was a very small city. The city where I came from, where I did my A levels, was a 10,000 people city, so very small. And the city where we three studied was a, let's say, 25,000 people city.
Mm-hmm.
And my boyfriend on the time said, oh, they behave really like people from rural areas. I said, yeah, what is bad about that? He said, yeah, but listen, they will do their studies for primary school teacher. And I think they will go back into their villages and then they will be their primary school teacher. I said, okay. and what about, is this good? Is it bad? What are you telling me that? He said, oh, this is a shame. I mean, they don't face the word. I said, do you think they want to face the word? He said, I don't know. But why shouldn't we give them a glimpse of the whole big world? I said, do you want to take the responsibility of that? To guide them, show them the big world, and then take the responsibility what happens with them afterwards? And he laughed at me. So he didn't listen to me. He told them about his experience as a model where he traveled worldwide, and he told them that they are much, much better boyfriends than they have currently, with much bigger cars, much more money, and that they could earn there much more, and there are other jobs which are more attractive. And I looked at them like, oh my God, this is interesting. So both of them were super unsatisfied afterwards. They stopped with their boyfriends and were struggling in their studies. In the end, one of them is still unemployed, never got a job. The other person is unhappy in the village, back in the village. And I talked to him a few days ago and said, what do you think about this case? And he said, what? I said, I mean, you showed them some more slices of the big world. And do you think it was good for them or bad for them? He said, good question. I mean, if I look at the case, as you say, it was not good for none of them. One is unhappy, the other is also unhappy. Both haven't got that what they thought that the big world could deliver them. And maybe they would have been happy in a small world. So I said, I think it is not our duty or responsibility to guide the people into the big world, but I think it would be good and it should be our duty to show them the world inside themselves. And this is something different. Yeah. And this would have changed them.
The big cake.
The big cake inside. It's not the big cake outside.
And then I know everywhere the expectations are so much higher than what is really achievable. But isn't it in the end not really about the big slice or the small slice? Did I find myself, and once I would call it passion or purpose in life, that we're not only just focusing on the outside. I can say it's too small, it's too big. We'll never found the solution on the outside. And I experienced it myself when I had a good financial success sitting in my penthouse in Gibraltar and falling in a depression because I realized with all the material stuff, I'm not happy. So what is it? What makes really happy? And like I said, in school, what are we not really teaching to find yourself and accept also the differences? I don't need to be like this boyfriend with the big car or whatever. It brings me further away from myself what it really is.
I think it would be great if we educate everybody to feel and heal himself and see that there is an inner truth, not outside. Yeah. And I mean, when I remember backwards, I never had role models which could have shown me what is all relevant for me for the future. And I think if I would have had them, like Michelle Obama, for example, maybe I would have developed much faster or much straighter into one direction. But what I can say is that I'm happy about my inner journeys I've done because they made me to a person where I can face any challenge and not in a kind of just reacting, but in a kind of doing the steps from my own opinion, from my own path, and not reacting like a rabbit, which sees that something is happening and just running.
When you mention Michelle Obama as a role model, I'm just checking my life, how I was when I was younger. I would say I wouldn't even understand it. I wouldn't have looked there. And I think it's also depending on the age, which context you have, the role models maybe should be closer. and there I didn't have one, but I somehow, luckily, with my story at home, that I was always in kind of stress and needed to watch and try to understand what is the mood of that or whatever. I get a kind of more sense what is happening. And after school, I wanted first to become an engineer, so I needed to do 3 months at Siemens directly after school. So I was 18, 19, whatever, 20 or something in this area. And I experienced there were workers who were afraid of me, and I couldn't understand it because I was young. But then I found out, they said, maybe one day you're my boss. So this was one opinion. And then we had workers from Yugoslavia there. It was on the conveyor belt, and then I worked whatever a few days there. And he was just normal. Yeah. So, suddenly I had more respect for the guy on the conveyor belt. I saw also people who were showered already before they stamped their card. So if you see these differences, then I think it's very important that you have not just a role model, as someone they trust and follow. This is like a kind today in business we say mentor, a person we say, okay, when you say this, I go this direction or this, because we have the choice also to be honest when we leave or whatever, not. So where are the values coming from, and what is it what makes young people or people following the values?
Yeah, I think it's always good to have good role models, and it's a huge help to have them. And in my own life, I looked on my own for role models, as it was not a time of mentoring, and that in a way which would have been fruitful for me. I mean, I had a mentor, and it was a mentee program, but I profitized very little from that, because it was a woman who looked like a man, and she told me that if I want to make a career, I should cut my hair and should get rid of the jewelry on my ears, and I should drive a big car and shouldn't miss that, and instead of riding a bicycle, what I told her what I do because of sustainability reasons. So she was on a completely other train than me. And I'm happy that I have followed none of her ideas and suggestions to me. And I felt for her very sad more than that, because I had a feeling, I mean, she was 30 years older than me or something. And I thought that she needs a mentor, not me. And besides that, I had not a female, or not really female mentors than my grandmother, but I had male mentor. I searched by myself. It was Albert Schweitzer, which I liked very much for his engagement in lumbering, for his virtuosity and in playing an instrument, and that was a role model in this case for me.
When you say role model, and now Albert Schweitzer, I guess you didn't met him personally, and then he taught you. So what is already in you that you can pick him as a role model? Is there a kind of search? What goes in resonance? So
yeah, exactly. I mean, in my past or in my youth, we went to Berlin once a month, and my father was a left party, very strong communist. And he went to the DDR and other communistic states on a regular basis. And once a month, he brought us to Berlin East, and there were some companies that were selling secondhand books, and it was a paradise for me. Spending sometimes 1 or 2 days in these rooms filled with books, and there I found these old books about Albert Schweitzer, for example, and other books with stories. And I grabbed that because I always was interested in biographies from strong people, and I always were interested by biographies from people had to face challenges and overcame them. So it's interesting looking back that it was not a woman, which I took like Jane Goodall, for example, or other, but yeah, it was really Albert Schweitzer.
Yeah, but you mentioned also that there was a room with books. There were a lot of books, and I could pick a book. A survey also done in America when it was about spelling and knowing words. That also the upper class kids always win, and then they found out why. It's not intelligence, because they talk different at home, and there are books. And if you go to the more poor people, or like we not allowed to say anymore in Germany, there's the poor people, we say this more, we say distance to education people, welfare homes, they don't have books. So when we come also to a role model, look at gangs. Okay, if someone then picks the leader of the gang as a role model and says, oh, I want to be strong like them and lead them. I think there's a very different quality of role models. And is it a desire, like I feel for you, it's a desire, wow, I want to know more, and that's why I discover it. And the others maybe have stress, and then they go in a group like gangs. I need to be there, and then they look just for this stronger one to feel more safe, but not really because it's their true heart to be there.
Yeah, I think we always want to belong to somebody, and this desire for connection or being connected is something which is typical human, right?
Yeah. And that is a problem, because let me coming back, how people are raised. Where is it in Sweden? Okay, you have 2 weeks your baby, and then we organize everything that you can go work again, and there's not really the connection between kid and mom, or even parents, but not mom, or like we say, what it needs to raise a kid. A village, so much more influences, and we separate them often directly in the hospital or whatever. So we train a lot of traumas and create a lot of traumas, and it's not so easy, like you said, when we have an education, it's kindergarten, school, we don't care about it really.
Yeah, exactly. We take the kids somewhere and want to live our lives, but on the other hand, we don't want to miss the kids. The situation you're describing with parents sitting with the kids at a table in a restaurant, just each of them is watching her device. This is so typical. This is such a shame. And but on the other hand,
not only the kids anymore, you see even the adults. No?
Exactly. But on the other hand, I mean, I, for example, was yesterday in a restaurant with my kid. We were 3 eating there, and I brought a small game with me. It's a game with cards and with some figures, and I placed it on the table. And my kid is 5 years old, so I said, okay. So we are playing this game where while we are waiting, meanwhile, for our food. So people from the other tables looked like, okay, what's that? And I thought, okay, it doesn't, there's not that much missing, that they start to say, can you maybe be a bit quieter by laughing? Or can you laugh a bit quieter? Or can you be not that active here? And this is, I'm not sure if this is typical German, but
maybe not totally typical, but it is more German. If you go to Spain or go more Italy, they can stand more the noise of the kids. Yes.
I guess if there would have been a dog, I think it wouldn't have been that that bad from the impression for the people. But kids, this is, I think, extremely in Germany, that they should be quiet and easy to handle. And I mean, with that, we won't get these kids which are described by like these crazy ones by Steve Jobs. I mean, we want them happy, but on the other hand, want them creative and innovative and disruptive. That's not working. If we start breaking them and disrupting them on our own with our own rules, we can't expect that they can deliver and develop their own ones.
Anabel, I know tomorrow you fly to Dubai. This big conference to rescue the climate or to change something or rescue humanity. And when we just talked about the problems of the kids and the separation stuff and what you did in the restaurant with your kid, it's not just simply we played a game and kept the child away from the phone. It was a connection between mom and the kid. So we together, that's what I'm saying. And that is the big problem in general, and then also in politics. I remember that there was in Paris a big terrorist attack, and in different places, and all the political leaders from different countries came together. And from Germany at that time, it was a secretary for, what was it, Innen Minister. There's also for the security and everything in countries. And this Thomas de Maizière at that time, and he was there in Paris, and they all walked Champs-Élysées direction Arc de Triomphe. So it was really a walk of the politicians because of that. And then in a talk show later, he said, it was such an interesting experience, this feeling of togetherness. So, and the way he shared it, it was really a surprise. Like I never experienced it like that. Yeah, this maybe for himself, but at least not with politicians. And what I suspect now, when we go to the conference, everybody is planning already about the topic, and I have this opinion, and we are against this one or that one, and da da da. But when we go onto the human level, how much will happen then there to connect?
I don't know. I have to see.
Yeah.
I will see.
You will see. Yeah. And what can be done? In my book, Better the Whole World Against Me Than My Soul, I just had the example of Gaza and the defense. On one side is a mom with a kid, on the other side is a mom with a kid. And both dream that the kid can live a happy life in peace. But then in the end, they are fighting again. Well, still we are focusing on the differences and not understanding that we are maybe one race. And especially like we from the northern, we all come from Africa. Yeah. We all have it in the genes. Just because we moved there and some moved somewhere else.
That's right.
and we have so much wealth on planet Earth. So what can be done? Like you said, education, politics, and also what you doing, and how you try to get people to understand that it's partly about the climate. Yeah, we maybe, but the main thing is, like you said, we have the possibility to do so much bad. We have the possibility to do so much good, to get this understanding in the heads of the people, in the hearts of the people, and heart of the politicians there. Is there any chance? I know you speak there, you have different speeches, and to get this message across.
Yeah, I address my words always differently. So, for example, where we had this executive conference in Cannes with the executives from worldwide, where I knew that these are technical people, I asked beforehand how willing they are for topics like that, and I had the chance to talk first in a keynote where I addressed also facts and figures, but besides also emotional facts. And then in a fishbowl, I discussed then also the topics a bit deeper by storytelling. I think this is not a problem to do. So there are a lot of chances and challenges, but nothing which is hard to solve. I think that a lot of people like to prepare problems before they even start. And this is creating a hill of something which takes so much energy to reduce it afterwards or delete it afterwards, which is really funny, because this is a hill of nothing and nonsense, to be honest, just filled with fear, with insecurity, but not with content. So I don't see any problems or different difficulties. And I mean, kids, like to play. So we offer them playful solutions where they can experiment by themselves, figure out the results by themselves. And it's always good to have the feeling that you are part of the solution and not of the problem.
Yeah, okay. That is a good idea to get across. When we come back to kids and take Germany as an example, we just had this PISA study, and we can at least say that the education level or whatever, what do you call it, the knowledge level, it goes down and down and down and down. Less and less people, kids, so I would say, coming from school, are really good in reading and writing. I just assume it's in a lot of areas, other countries as well. If I saw American movies and everything, was really at stress teaching, and even the parent says, no, what for? Or they will never have a good job or whatever. So what is happening, and I know you're really interested and also active in working or changing something in the education, the mindset of what needs to be done to have a different focus, that the kids, just for themselves also, not just for the country, are really more capable of reading, writing, and I mean with that really to be, we say self-responsible in life.
I mean, it's easy to support that, and of course, it's not that you have to do more. You have to prepare more, but you have to do less. Give young people more place and space for their own creativity. There are models and tools which are already in place, which are supporting kids in that, like, for example, Wochenplanarbeit, which looks like project work, where the young people gets a sheet where they can put in which direction or which is the path to the goal, and they decide, and they have tasks which are duty, they have a task which are which they can do, and that then they have to task which are which they only can prepare if they've done everything. So this gives an idea of being responsible for their own progress, and this is great. I mean, it's really easy, but this is great because this gives them a lot of abilities and is supporting and developing a lot of competencies. I think this is so easy and so great, and I don't understand why is it so little in place.
Well, this is maybe just a simple historical development. I simply say, with the industrial age, the man had the first time the possibility to work from 9 to 5, have a security in life. And it was hundreds, thousands of years, it was not like this. You needed always to figure out how we can survive. And suddenly you had a security in surviving. And mom could stay at home, in the kitchen and with the kids at the church. So there was wonderful somehow. But then one day, let's say mommy says, no, I want to be part of the world as well, not just. And so my assumption or my feeling of energy is in this way, the kindergarten was just a place to place a kid somewhere that mommy can go working. So it was not really of developing. Even we had the word garden. It was not about to blossom. It just, okay, someone needs to observe what they're doing or protect them over the day or whatever. And then it was also normal that the parents have to pay for it because they want to make money. That's good that they pay. But now we have a little bit different idea. For the kids and for the country, that if we really understand that the first 3 years, the development of the brain and what we talk about values or role models, so what happens in the first years and how can we really support the kids to grow in their natural essence, potential. And that is a totally different idea. And we had the school, we need to form the kids that they function in the industrial age, that they were good workers. And in this system,
nothing has changed. Nothing has changed with that, right? I mean, this idea is still the same. And the wish to that every kid should be a coder is just an expression of this poor idea behind.
Yeah, we know that we need to change it. So, Anabel, now we talked about everything is so bad and so many problems out there. But you're traveling around, you have a lot of projects. Please share, like you mentioned it just with the sheet there in the school, what is really good, what is already working good. So what is there already, what we're maybe not seeing and the news are not really talking about?
Yeah, there are some good things already in progress, I'd say. I mean, from offers from the youth up to organization initiatives and things which are ongoing also for adults. I mean, just if we look, for example, at the United Nations, which looks like a something which is doing something, and nobody knows what's going on there, really then discussing because nobody sees a really big progress. But for example, I'm partner member of the UN and Ocean Decade, and getting quite active now. And what I see there, what the organizations do, and the kind of supporting the world oceans, this is great. I mean, there's so much work they do, not just scientific work, but also work at place where they're getting the beaches rid of plastic, where they are just going through the water, getting out the plastic there. And there's so much ongoing, which gives you not only hope, but shows you that there are a lot of clever people working on good solutions. If you ask me if it's enough, no, nothing is enough. It's enough if everybody is involved, and it's enough if we found solutions on how to live on this world in a better way with each other, because we have still questions which should be asked, but nobody allows himself to ask his question. They're not allowed, to be honest, which is about the people on Earth. Can the Earth stand all these people? Can the Earth stand this massive increase of population? Is it good if we put a genetic variation into the seeds for food? What does it? What will happen with people who eat this on a regular basis? And things like this should be discussed in an open way, not in a way which is just reserved for a small group of people. And this is currently the fact.
I don't want to go into what is done wrong or what kind of experiments with the food, coming back to children and good stuff. Where you see, or can you mention, oh, this is a good project, this is a good school, this school, like you mentioned this with the Wochenplan, and so where is it done? Where can people look to?
There's, for example, in Germany, Schule im Aufbruch. Margret Rasfeld is behind that. She has done this, for example, in Niedersachsen with 66 schools already, and there are more and more schools following her. And that's what she is. She wants to get more into school. This is not a revolution, as said. It is even not innovative, but it is important. Yeah. And she transfers it, or she translated in a language that more and more people understand, and this is important because she puts it on people like Montessori, Maria Montessori, Heinrich Pestalozzi, Janusz Korczak, some of these people which lived hundreds of years ago, and we are still following them because they did great things. Just as, for example, Maria Montessori, who says, help me to do it by myself. This is a great sentence. And there are still so many education specialists and experts, so-called experts, which are still following old schedules, saying everybody has to look in the same direction, everybody has to listen to the same things. Why? We are also different. Why can't one person can listen to things better, one person can learn better by interacting, one person can learn better by watching things, there are people who can learn better by walking through the nature. Why is anything of this worse than the other version? Why is anything of this better than one we should follow? There's no reason for that. Then doing it in a way which is the easiest way, maybe for the people which are teaching. But yeah, this is what I can say. And there are a lot of lab schools initiatives often built by parents, which were frustrated by the system, by the existing system. And I mean, there are also a lot of private schools which are good, but private school is no guarantee for good quality. There are also state schools which have just engaged a teacher which understand that it's the experimental and self-learning opportunities, giving responsibility to people, making them growing and giving not just themselves the perspective, also the teacher the idea that he or she is doing something substantially important, and the school an idea that the school is delivering something which is important. So
yeah, we live in a good time where you can Google if we just give in the right question. And the parents are free. It doesn't need to be directly next door. So where's the best for it? And it gives solution.
Exactly. For me, I mean, Montessori is a great choice, and it's a choice which never really fails, because this Montessori style is not is not relying, or the quality is of course relying on the people, but there is a special system, and if the Montessori system is in place, then they all have to follow the system, and the system tells you exactly this one sentence: help me to do it by myself. And other systems which may be good or may be bad, there it's really laying on the teachers, which are there, just like Waldorfschule, for example. This concept can be super good, but it can be also quite bad for the people which needs a bit more structure, form, or can't work with this idea of Steiner, for example. And you have to say also, not each school is good for everybody. I mean, the difference in school people are, if there's a school who is following a direction, maybe it fits for some very well, for others not. But what I think is always fitting.
Variety, yes. The sentence, can I do it by myself? Help me that I can do it by myself. That is the winspiration idea, that we are all on the same level, but different, and to be inspired for win-win. And this has helped me doing it, and not just tell me what should I do. That is win-lose.
Exactly.
Thank you, Anabel, once more for your insights, your spirit. I wish you a wonderful time in Dubai, and hope that some of the spirit you talked here will influence people there, and at least slowly, but better fast, we see changes in how we live together. Thank you very much. Safe trip and a lot of good results.